Dang, 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 dang. Oh, oh, ah. Yes, welcome. We're going to be spending the entire week looking at Wild West Exodus.
Yeah.
However, we popped up just before these videos to remind you, you could be a winner, baby. We're giving a ton of stuff away.
Yeah.
Every single day, one of you guys who comments on the video on beastsofwar.com. So come across, create yourself a free account, put a comment on the video, and you're in with a chance of winning this. Every day, we'll be picking a lucky winner who will win $30 store credit to spend immediately in the Wild West Exodus store.
Awesome.
So make sure to comment on beastsofwar.com for your chance to be in with that prize. However, we're not finished. At the end of the week, on the Weekender, we're going to be announcing a winner from all the comments on beastsofwar.com, or all the comments on YouTube, or all the comments on Facebook. If you want to be in with a chance of winning, you should probably do all three.
Well, hang on. We have to tell them what they could win.
The Town Marshal Kickstarter pledge rocks in about $325 worth of stuff.
And then let's get some gunmetal. Gunmetal for, quite obviously, the gun. And I wanted to paint his little chest plate with it as well. Just because. Didn't want to paint it just one color, you know. That here is gunmetal. This is gunmetal from the Flames of War range. It's the pigments are actually a little finer than from the Vallejo model color or game color range. For some reason, probably a question of scale. Still, all of them are lovely. So a wash of gunmetal over these little plates. We'll see how that goes, and if it's too ugly or too silly, then we'll just paint it brass as well. Yes, I think it looks decent. I will repaint this little bit here in brass, though. Well, in tinny tin, really. I'm just painting the gun, really. Just nothing to see here. It's pretty straightforward. Painting the barrel of the gun in gunmetal. Something we've done, all of us, hundreds of times. I frankly doubt I have anything to teach you in that particular art. He has more guns with more barrels. We'll perhaps put some gunmetal on the goggles. Just because. What else? I don't think there's anything that gunny. Perhaps these little ammunitions here and there. Just on top and on the bottom. Basically encased in leather as well. So, yes, two little belt buckles right here on the side. You see them? Right there. And some gunmetal here and here. There we go. Yes. On the side here, perhaps. Oh, there are two little rivets here. We would detail that later, but they are big rivets, so it's all right. Good. And the hat. Oh no, the hat. The hat will be brass, actually, I think. Shiny. Completely wrong for camouflage. But then, I don't think that was ever their game. Now, I will try and shade some of our little man. I'll use some carne marron to shade his face. There we have it. Let me show you what it looks like. This is carne marron. Carne marron is basically the flesh maroon, flesh brown in English. It's basically what I use every time for shading faces. Well, not every time, but pretty much every time. This is just the first shading. I'm not getting fancy here. Just a wash. I will use this carne marron to perhaps, yes, perhaps redden the base a little. Because these deserts can get awfully red. I'll mix carne marron with the base color we used for the base. I'll add some of that. Doesn't have to be entirely uniform. Working on the rest of the miniature shall give this plenty of time to dry. Yes, for the ochre yellow shirt, I will use a... Well, this was camo orange ochre. I will use... what will I use? What was I going to use for the shirt? Brown violet. I already have it on my palette. You remember violet brown from the leathers? I will only use it sparingly. For some of those recesses. I think another coat will do the straps and the leathers and the gloves a world of good anyway. Now I want to shade that leather as well as shade the blue jeans, as well as shade the other type of leather. I will, to that effect, use blue. This is completely counterintuitive, but don't worry, it works. I will use the dark sea blue because I like it. I like the dark sea blue from the model color range almost as much as I like periscopes from the model color range. Almost as much as I like hull red from the model color range. I know. That's just me, you don't have to use that particular color. It's just about the technique. This is my dark sea blue. The thing is, I want to use dark sea blue because I want to show you that you can shade brown with blue, that you can shade yellow with blue, that you can shade anything with blue, actually, or with red, or with green. You can shade anything with anything, as long as it's sufficiently dark, and as long as it's sufficiently well blended, and as long as it goes with the ambient light and mood you want for your miniature. If I've ever told you something, and if I ever teach you something, I want it to be that. We'll first do a pass of that blue over the blue jeans, and then you'll see what we'll do. This is a wash, so it's supposed to go in the recesses. The dark sea blue is very surfactant in and of itself. I don't know why. It's probably just my pot that has that reaction. Or it could be the fact that it has too much solvent or too little, I don't know. Whatever it is, my pot is really good, and I hope yours is too. This was for the pants. I will now mix this chocolate brown with the dark sea blue over here to obtain something more akin to a greenish goop thing. I don't know. There you go. Anyway, that's going to be our shading color for quite a lot of things, you'll see. Probably even the metals. It's a sufficiently dark and muddy color. Now, I don't know exactly how it will react, but I will try it on the brass here. Because it could be verdigris, you know, it could be slightly, it could be an interesting tone for shading the brass. Yep, that works perfectly fine. And it can even reshade some parts of the blue jeans as well, because it's sufficiently close to the blue to make it look like it's just, you know, dirty blue jeans. You know what? I just noticed he has no fly in his pants. Maybe it's higher up. Maybe it's some sort of strap. Maybe it's some sort of navy-like flap. I don't know. Now we must be careful to shade a lot of things with that, but not everything and not everywhere. This is all well and good to shade the metals, but we must take care that it does not touch the face or other different and interesting parts of our miniature. For example, the shirt shouldn't be too shaded. Some parts of the shirt, perhaps just underneath, but no, I don't think, apart from the gloves, we don't want that on here. Just want to shade the bottom parts. I think I will even use that to shade some of the base, but only in the cracks. I'm just following the cracks with the point of my brush, and paint deposits in the little creases. Wipe it off a little here, because I don't really want it to go onto the sand. I think, yes, I think we're all right with the shading. You know, I'll get a little bit of hull red, because I like hull red, and I'll do very selective shading here and there. This is hull red. This thing here. And I'll do very selective shading with a very small brush here and there, whenever I think we need some red, you know. I think, for example, the face needs some hull red. And the hair probably a little. You know, why not? I think the wood of the gun here should be perhaps a little more ruddy, so a glaze of hull red. Not in the creases, but just a glaze. You know, that could be fun. The face didn't turn out quite as I'd hoped, so I will wait for it to dry and I will repaint it. I think the hat could be a lot more red than it is, so I will wash it with hull red completely. It's got brass, it's got everything, but still not red enough. This here could do with a wash of hull red. Because it perhaps is a little rusty. I think perhaps we should have some hull red on the base as well. It does mix a little with the rest of what I've put on, the other colors, because it's not too dry yet, especially the bluish color that I've put on. You know what? Let's have a little more of the orange ochre as a wash on the shirt here, because it's not ochre enough. Let's consider this a first highlighting, for example. Just reprise the base color a little so that it's more vivid. I think the jeans could be highlighted. I will highlight them with Ghost Grey. Ghost Grey is a very chalky grey from Vallejo. I will show you. See, that is Gris Fantasma. Ooh, Ghost Grey. It's a very light grey. It's like something pearl-like, not pearlescent, unfortunately, but still. There. Here, you see? That's very, very grey indeed. And now with my very fine brush, I will very finely highlight the very fine denim of the very fine pants of this very fine gentleman. This will contrast heavily with the blue, but that is actually what we're going for. We're going for some used denim. And besides that, since I'm going to be using transparent coats, it won't contrast that much. Not in my paint, you understand, but on my brush. It's okay if this is irregular. I'm doing little lines here, because this is denim, this is not... this is supposed to be texture, so I am actually actively texturing it by sometimes putting little dots in. You know what I mean? Get what I mean? First one to get the reference of what I just said, post it in the comments, and you will win. You will win. You will win nothing but my gratefulness and esteem. For some reason, I highlighted the wrong part here. No pun intended. Really, above every of these little pleats and creases, I put a little bit of grey. because, you know, except under here, because under here is actually in shadows. I would surmise that this is well lit, or at least lit, and that it appears used. So let's do that. The back here will not appear as highlighted as the rest, but may well be used, so I still have to kind of show that. Right, have I highlighted all of his jeans? Oh, I think I'm still missing a few bits here and there. Good. I will highlight this shirt of his with ivory. Because ivory is a good highlight for yellow that is not too warm. I don't want his shirt to be too warm. If I wanted his shirt to be slightly warmer, I would have used perhaps ice yellow. This is ivory, by the way. Ivory is also less chalky, still warm, but not completely too warm, and it will complement nicely the rest of the miniature, because we want that sort of thing. A little bit of ivory here, a little bit of ivory there. Just so, but nothing more. Perhaps here. But even then, you know, not much. His hat, his leathers, they all need highlighting. The hat looks very shabby, I'm terribly sorry about that. I have used some red, some brass, some... yes, okay. So I will devise a highlighting color using all of this. The hat was this brown. Also I will get some here with the hull red. More of the brown. And to highlight it, I will use some ivory. More ivory. Yes. Quite right. That's what we're looking for. Now, bear in mind, this is only the first highlight. This is almost merely to get a get some more uniformity on the thing. If you will, this is a bit like the color of the it's a different kind of leather. It's a bit like the color of the leather of the hat of you know, the cowgirl in Toy Story 2 or 3, I forget. Well, her. That's almost the color I want. Not quite as red, but not quite as brown as the hero's hat either. I will add even more ivory to my mix. Let me show you. This is what we're looking for. And yeah, it's okay to have something slightly irregular, especially if we're talking about the texture of a cowboy hat. So it's It's well worn, it's well used, some sort of a odd fedora look. But we do want a little bit of highlighting. You know, leather is a material that is irregular, that is in and of itself completely mottled, and that's part of the appeal. You know, it's bumpy, it's mottled, it's like real skin. It's, well, it is real skin. So there you go. Now we will highlight the leathers, the other leathers, the violet brown ones, with some of the grey actually. We'll mix this with the base color for our leathers. This will serve as highlight. And this will be subtle. I'm using the grey because I want something a little more subdued than it would have been with ivory, you know. With ivory it would have been much too warm. I want something a little cold. And worn. Worn leather tends to go grey instead of warmer colors. It tends to go passé, you know. This also allows us to correct any mistake we made in the shading. For example, this somehow the paint has pooled a little on top of the strap instead of in the crease. Well, that sort of thing is corrected through that highlighting. The gloves don't need that much highlighting, but these fingers, for example, they do. And I figure here that bit of the glove would need some too. There. Ever so slightly. Now I'll grab some grey, the purest grey I can think of. The, you know, the light grey, the ghost grey. I will slightly highlight these fingers and the top of the gloves here, because they're really on top of the miniature and they're really well lit. The domino mask needs a little bit of highlighting here. It's not a domino mask, but you know, it's much more dashing that way, if I call it that. Okay, I will have some matte black from actually from War Paints. Ordinarily I would frown on this a little, but in this case, why not? A few selective washes of black here, for example. Under the hat, I think the hair could be darker. And here's a little sideburn here. This is now the time to completely repaint the face. I will use some hull red and just use it underneath here. It will mix in with the black, which is perfectly all right. And by the hair of his chinny chin chin, he shall be shaded. For my name isn't Romain d'Armont. There we go. He has much darker skin. And it is perfectly fine. We will have some more black as a wash, perhaps here, on the gun. So as to enhance the contrast, just very sparingly, of course, but so as to enhance the contrast between the gun and the rest of the lad, really. Gun is also slightly oily. I think a black wash will do it good. Let's have a slight, and I said very slight, wash of black here. I think we'll have some black, yeah, in between the legs here. It is the darkest part of the miniature. Be careful with the black washes, it can get addictive. For example, I had said I would use the black sparingly. I am now using it for quite a lot of things. I'm just basically underlining certain areas. In black. It will delineate the color scheme a little better. Oh, I will also shade the guns, because, you know, it's better in black. Let's have some black on the back of the gloves here. And a little more black here in the hair. Just, yes. There we go. Mousy, and as colors go, this is perfect for a cowboy. Actually, let's grab some brassy brass. Brassy brass is a lighter brass color. See? There. That is brassy brass. We don't need more than that. This is just for extreme highlighting of our brass, basically. We'll use it almost pure. And that will be it. Now let's have a look. Here. Here. There. Just on top, where it's supposed to be very well lit indeed. Just a little tiny bit here. What else? Oh yes, here, of course. Just that extra little highlight here. At home, I have a color that's a little like gold. It's called laton, which is basically common brass and that sort of thing. Here I don't, so I will use, I will use some silver and mix it in with brass if I need to, but I will mostly use silver for highlighting stuff. You do know what silver looks like. I know you do. It's the shiny, shiny metal that is right here. I'm showing you anyway because I'm nice. I am nice. Am I not? If I am not nice, put it in the comments. If I am nice, put it in the comments. If you don't care, put it in the comments. I'm using silver very sparingly for the little rivets and such. Not everywhere, you understand. The top of that gun as well. These little rivets and ammunitions. This is almost dry brushing, except it's really not. I'm just brushing over these little straps. This should be silver as well. I'll add some more water to have it to have the paint flow a little more instead of being so dry, and we will then have this on top. There we go. I will even put some silver on top of those shoulders right here. Very dilute way. And here on top of the gun. Now, let's be careful about these ammunitions. The top and the bottom must be highlighted in silver, but not the rest. There we go. I must rinse my brush. Where is my gunmetal? Ah, there it is. Instead of silver, I will use gunmetal on most of those rivets because they should be darker, actually. Now, in gunmetal, I think this is some sort of a strap for horsing around. There we go. What else should be metallic here? I'll put some metal on his goggles because I kind of like it. There we go. I will highlight his flesh tone with a bit of the base color for the flesh tone, which was flat flesh. Here, for example, on his lip, on his nose, on his neck a bit. The rest is basically his shirt, on this cheek. And that's it, really. Doesn't need any more highlighting. I think he has a darker tanned skin, glasses, goggles, and weird hair and a little bit of sideburn thingy going here. I will even darken it with some black on the side there. And perhaps do his goggles in black, at least in the center. He'll be grateful for that. There. He'll be grateful for that because, well, the sun is shining quite a lot in these countries, in these parts. I would have surmised that these holsters are partly metallic, but they look just as well in leather, actually. I don't think it's too steampunky that way, but then again, this is good. Otherwise, it's just too much metal everywhere, and that's never good. I do think he has little metal ammunition here on this strap, though. So that's a detail we shouldn't miss. Now for the base, I will get some. Actually, I will get some. This is what we use. No, wait. What did we use for the base? We used that for the base. We'll grab some of that, and we'll grab some ivory. And we did use that as well, so we'll put some of that in there. But more of that actually, and more ivory. Still more ivory, yes. Yeah, that's kind of the color we're looking for. Okay. And now with my old cruddy brush, I will pretty much dry brush this color over my base, or at least whatever I can on the surface. Basically, I'm brushing over my desertified base. Let's brush with a little more ivory. And with that muddy color for the highlights that I had done, let's brush the bottom of the slacks, because that would have left some dust. It's awfully dusty country, isn't it? It will cut the shine quite efficiently, cut the shine of the leg straps, things, stuff, armor thing. And it will, yes, it will be quite appropriate. There. Not too much and not too high. We don't want to completely mask everything, but we do want a slight veil of dust over our cowboy thing, guy, person. And if I could speak, it would be better, but unfortunately, you can't have everything. Ah, yes. All that remains is detailing the base. I will use some carne marron to detail the little rocks here. I think they're red rocks because it looks better. I think it's interesting. I've no real notion of where this cowboy is. I was in Salt Lake City and in the surrounding region for a while, a few years ago, because I had friends over there. And I did see spectacular features and natural wonders, but don't know if this is exactly here, you know. I am now painting the rocks in whole red, only on some of the sides. I'm basically shading them, forcefully blending them, like wet on wet painting, if you will. More whole red here. I will grab some dark sea blue. I still have some on my palette. And underline the rocks. Basically just to integrate them with the rest of the countryside, because they're too red. I'll grab some more of the dark sea blue. This is pure dark sea blue, no need to get fancy. And I will... Oh, with too much water, sorry. Let's absorb that a little. There we go. I'll grab some more of the dark sea blue, but in a more pure fashion. And I will paint it around under our little character so as to simulate some sort of a shadow. There. Blue shadows on the trail. Little cowboy. Where does that come from? Oh yeah, Three Amigos. Now, our little scorpion boy here will grab a finer brush. I will just do some black washes on it because it's some sort of disgusting black scorpion, you know. Probably not the completely lethal yellow kind, but a good bit dangerous nonetheless. Some sort of big brown beast that stings you and basically makes you wish it had been the lethal kind, actually. You know, because it hurts so much. And perhaps a little blue around here. I'm just spreading the black. Never mind, I will absorb it with a wet brush. If there's any black, there's too much black here, it should rejoin. I'm pushing it towards the shadow of the guy here. And that is much better. Underneath this crackled thing, crackled ground. There we go. I think we should wait for it to dry a bit. But other than that, it's fine. I believe I'll get some ivory and put some ivory here while it's still wet. There, a little bit on top of the rocks. Nothing wrong with some irregularity. If it's mottled, it's actually better. Now let me grab some black and paint the base black as it should be. Is the scorpion dark enough? I believe it is. Could be darker, could be lighter, I don't know. What I know is I'll get some of my ivory mix thingy and put some more here. As a glaze, you know. The ivory mix I've used for highlighting the space before, you remember. And if I put some around the scorpion, it will seem actually much deadlier. Yes. Quite so. No, let's darken the scorpion a little more. Just a bit there. Otherwise we'd just confuse it with the sand. I know, scorpions should be confused with the sand because that is their purpose. That is why that's an evolutionary advantage for many scorpions. But you know, what's the point in having a scorpion if you don't notice it on a scenic base? There we go. I think we're done. Yes. Have we done every detail of that little guy? Pretty much, yes. I think this is... yeah. This is our Outlaw. Wild West Exodus Outlaw. You notice that there's a lot of detail on this miniature. And that's quite grand. I mean, we love that. But that I really would like you to appreciate the fact that these miniatures in resin and in plastic are very delicate and very detailed. That's not just because of the 3D sculpting, that's there's true artistry behind it. And they are on par with some of the best detailed miniature in the world. They're way more detailed than what I've seen produced from Games Workshop. Maybe not Forge World, but way more detailed as plastics go than anything I've ever seen in a long while. Some of the pieces can get a little fiddly, especially for the Enlightened faction, but quite frankly, they're very, very, very detailed. Now, I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial, and I hope you've enjoyed that color scheme. I certainly have, and I will see you next time. Bye then.